Welcome to the KOMO Sports End Zone podcast with KOMO Sports Director Niko Tamurian and Najee Moye.
How's it going, Seattle? I'm Niko Tamurian. That's Najee Moye on that side. Najee, how you doing?
Niko, you're not next to me. It's weird, but hey, it's been a great week for the Seahawks. I'm doing great because I don't have anything to complain about anymore. What do you think?
No. Welcome to this special edition of the KOMO Sports End Zone podcast. I have a Seahawks banner behind me because I'm live at the team facility, the Virginia Mason Athletic Center. And boy, oh boy, I'll tell you what, Naj, this is an exciting day. We were talking about this for weeks that, you know, when you name candidates, we talked about a bunch of candidates, of course. I think I liked Mike Vrabel. We mentioned Ben Johnson. But consistently, Mike Macdonald was a name at the list because of what he's done with the Ravens. And I got to say, now that I've met him, now that I've heard him speak in person, and even, you know, meeting him off camera, off to the side, that sort of thing, I really think this is a slam dunk hire for John Schneider and company. How do you feel about this so far?
I mean, I think John Schneider knocked it out the park. You know, I'm watching the press conference, and I just see, you know, we pulled out to a two-shot, and you see Coach Macdonald and John Schneider. And John Schneider, I have never seen him happier before, honestly, just sitting there just cheesing, giving people a thumbs up. And honestly, I listened to a lot of what Coach Mac said. I called him Coach Mac. I'm not sure if anyone usually does. But yeah, and he said a lot of good things. He seems like he's ready to get to work. I mean, and he's got a great defensive mind. And honestly, to 12 have a lot to be happy about. What you talked to him off camera afterwards, one-on-one, what did he say to you?
I mean, that was just more of a brief meeting, meeting the local reporters and that sort of thing. But what I would take away from it is that he's genuine. Like, the dude you saw there was the same guy you saw at the podium. Like, it wasn't he actually used the word facade, and that's the word it wasn't a facade. It was, what you see is what you get, you know. Yes, he has energy, he's a bit more of a straight shooter maybe than some coaches, but I like that. There's no sugarcoating it. He's going to be straight up honest. And one thing that really struck me, I'll give you two things that struck me in this one. First of all, was something John Schneider said today, which was that after the Ravens beat the Seahawks that first week in November, 37-3, Schneider was, he's like, we felt it. He's like, it's only one or two times in his career. He's like, he left the game saying, okay, I never want to feel like this again. And when he talked to some of his offensive players, he kept them nameless. He said those players were like, we don't know what happened. He's like, what just happened? They're like, who's that coordinator over there? Like, they were just so in awe of what Baltimore did to them defensively that the offensive players were starstruck and just completely befuddled as to what happened. And we're talking about pros. We're not talking about like your local high school JV team going against an NFL team. Like, that is striking. And certainly that started the interest of John Schneider, even if he didn't know that there would necessarily be an opening. That started the interest in that regard. And I think that the other thing that really jumped out at me today was something that Mike Macdonald himself said, that, you know, he wants to be here for the long haul. He's like, he knows this is a football city. He's admired this from afar. And that there was certainly no shortage of suitors. There was a lot of great conversations he had, he said it, but there was something about Seattle. There was something about the foundation, the bones of this team. And then eventually his relationship with John Schneider that really got the wheels in motion, that kind of made this the one opportunity that he couldn't turn down. When you hear those things, Naj, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, that's special. And we won't know how special until they line them up and play in September, but you can't help but have a good feeling when you hear all those sorts of things.
Yeah, he said, you know, the city's special, the fans are special. The Seahawks have the best fans in the world, and he saw that. And it's funny that you brought up that Ravens game. The Hawks were playing pretty solid offense right before that game. That was kind of the first kind of like, whoa. And even nationally, that may have been the first moment. The whole league kind of saw the Ravens and were like, hey, you know, what's going on? What look at this defense, you know, and what's going on with the Seahawks. And, you know, the seasons kind of went in completely different ways. But even in the Ravens loss in the AFC Championship game to the Chiefs, they only gave up 17 points to a goat in waiting, I guess, and Patrick Mahomes. And even then, the defense still looked stacked. It was the offense for the Baltimore Ravens that didn't pick up. But he's got some work to do, Niko. I mean, he's got to hire some people, right?
Yeah, and to piggyback on the point you just made, because it was an excellent one, they gave up 17 points to the Chiefs, and the Chiefs were on the field for 37 minutes. And that's just
crazy.
incredible when you think about it. 37 minutes, 17 points. That's not very good. And you're talking about Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, that whole crew. But here at question, yes, they got to make some hires. We've seen some names thrown around. Even Ryan Grubb, the former Huskies offensive coordinator, is somebody reportedly getting consideration. One thing I thought was funny that Macdonald said is that he didn't even know for sure where in the facility the practice facility was because it's been a whirlwind. They did that video where he walked into VMAC here and said hi to everybody and all that good stuff. And then he went right upstairs and got to work with John starting to play. Yeah, it's really cool. So I think that's going to be something that comes together in the coming days. But I'll tell you this. I mean, this guy's a workhorse, man. 36, last 10 years with the Ravens. He was all signed, sealed, and delivered to do some finance stuff with KPMG. And the Ravens offered him an internship, and he said, see ya. KPMG said, you can never work for us again. He's like, I think I'll be okay. And it turns out he is. And, from there, he just grinded his way. And that's what I really appreciate. He isn't, it's not like I don't want to make it sound like there's nepotism with some other folks. So I won't name names, but it wasn't like he was born into the game. Like his dad is like, the head coach of, it's not like his dad's Bill Walsh or something like that. Right. Like, yeah, that's right. I guess the point I'm trying to make, like he has earned it. He's earned every step of it. And I think this is going to be really, really fun to watch him grow in his first head coaching job with a franchise that won 9 games that has this base and foundation already set.
I was going to mention, the Seahawks defense, the roster itself is very solid. I mean, yeah, you want different things from the front four, maybe some linebackers, but even you look at the secondary. I mean, hey, it's kind of boom-esque, if you know what I mean, a Legion-esque, if you will. And there's definitely some pieces to build off of. But I'm going to ask you, Niko. You just kind of mentioned it. This is the first ever head coaching job, high school, college, or pro. It's the first one from Mike Macdonald. I mean, what does that say to you as far as the Seahawks' confidence in him going forward?
It's a tough one because I think, listen, after what I heard today, after what I've seen from those Ravens defenses and even the Michigan defense a couple years back, I don't have any issue with it, right? And normally I remember on this show a couple weeks ago I said I want Mike Vrabel, who's a proven head coach and did what he did with the Titans, but I think I see what John Schneider sees, right? The reason he hasn't been a head coach yet is just because he hadn't elevated there yet. It's not like he's in his 60s and it hasn't been a head coach yet. He's 36. And so I think that I'm okay with it. I'm definitely okay with it. And I think that so much of it is the product. Is the word John Schneider kept using. What we saw from those Ravens defenses and what Seattle fans saw firsthand in that 37-3 game. But then also when you look at it, you get to know the person. And not that I know him, but even in those glimpses of a 45-minute press conference and whatnot, you can start to see the guy that John Schneider sees, and you can start to see the guy that is going to be just an absolute workhorse of this program. He's not going to be outworked. He's young, he's hungry. That's not to say an older coach isn't, but he's, I'm struck that he's saying he wants to be here for the long haul. That's a cool thing. We'll cover his retirement presser in 2060 now. I don't know, but
well, I mean, yeah, it's crazy. The Hawks went from having the oldest coach in the NFL and Pete Carroll, legend, of course, to the youngest coach in the NFL. I mean, Mike Macdonald is only 4 years older than me. I think that's kind of insane. And I ran a soundbite in my show at 4:00 and KOMO was at 4, and the guy was like, "Yeah, he's a month younger than me." And it's crazy. I think a lot of Hawks fans will kind of like maybe identify with him because he is so young. I mean, and because he is, this is kind of a new type of thing. There's a youth movement at VMAC, Niko. You're in the middle of it right now. This is exciting. Also the Seahawks passed on, and I should say passed. I don't exactly know who got interviews and who didn't, but as far as coaches that are still out there, Vrabel, Belichick. I mean, there's a lot of names that the Hawks could have went with, but they went into this direction. Which honestly, given the Ravens season that they had, they didn't get to the Super Bowl. But I remember you asked me weeks ago if I thought the Hawks defense was elite, and I said no, because if you compare it to the Ravens defense, it's not very elite. I mean, and I think maybe we'll see that maybe you'll see that title being given to the Hawks defense this year. I'm excited, man. I'm fired up. I don't know. He's got some work to do, but I mean, he's got to find some coordinators. But I can't think of a better hire. I mean, I wanted Ben Johnson, obviously, but this is no complaints here. I'm not complaining anymore. Can you believe that?
No, I can, because I think that Mike Macdonald won the press conference today.
Yeah,
it doesn't win you any games, but if anybody was not feeling it yet, I don't see how you could still feel that way after hearing what he had to say. He's just got a great presence about him. Listen, there's no replicating a Pete Carroll who's just this unique and dynamic person on and off the field. And I'm not saying Mike isn't that. I'm just saying that in his own way, Macdonald has a presence about him, that he commands the room. When he talks, just hearing him talk first time today, I'm like, okay, I respect everything he's saying. There's no hot air. This is just what it is. He really does have a deep respect for Seattle, and it really was a thing where John Schneider knew this was the guy and really wanted to wait to be able to talk to him, and was very thankful when the Ravens lost to the Chiefs, because it gave him that opportunity to finally interview and then hire Mike Macdonald. But I mean, think about that. Ravens lose Sunday. John Schneider's out in Baltimore Monday night, and just deal done. Like, that's how bad they wanted him, and that's how quickly they made that happen. And so I think that speaks volumes, and I think it's really impressive ultimately when you look at it and you're like, okay, this is the new direction. John Schneider pointed to him, was like, this is the future of what we're doing. And I think
about guys like Quadri Diggs. I think about Witherspoon. I think about Michael Jackson. I think about just the secondary that the Hawks have right now, right? We'll see what happens with Jamal Adams, but this is a secondary that with Kobe Bryant also, that if you compare it to the Ravens secondary, the Ravens had some great pieces throughout the defense, but this is not unsimilar to that. What's happening at VMAC already. If I was the players, I'd be fired up.
I think so. And Mike made sure he said he respected it and loved all the talent. And when they weren't picking high enough, but the Ravens certainly loved Devin Witherspoon from the draft process, which I thought that was cool to hear as well. And I think that this is a roster. We talked about this on the show, that this is a roster that's built in a defensive identity. You're bringing in a defensive-minded coach. Screams to me reload, not rebuild. And
right,
you got a fresh set of eyes in that defense. So this is not to say that Pete and Clint Hurt lost their touch or anything like that. This is to say, okay, here's what we have. Let's get a new take on it, right? And let's see. You may see, in addition to maybe some different players coming over in free agency or whatnot, you may see guys that didn't necessarily have their best seasons or whatnot. You may see them thrive in this new scheme, in this new system. One thing that was described to me about Mike Macdonald is, let me go a little off track here to get to the point. Washington football, the Huskies, one of the things that made Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer's offense so darn difficult to stop is that they can line up in the same formation and run about, I'm just throwing a number out there, 30 different plays. On the same token, they can run that one play out of about 30 different formations. What I'm trying to say is it's impossible to prepare for that team on film, and that's why they were as good as they were. Mike Macdonald's defense is the same way, where he's just coming up with stuff that, as I said a moment ago, when John Schneider's being open and saying his offensive players under contract were completely befuddled and had no clue what had just happened to them. That is the most staggering thing I've heard in a long time. And it's a testament. It's not a knock on the Hawks to me, although they didn't play very well that day. It is a testament to how great of a defensive mind that Mike Macdonald really is.
That's a testament. I think you'll find many Hawks fans wondering the same thing that day. What was going on with their team? Because they had just came off of a pretty spicy win in Cleveland the week before, and they were kind of ready to go, okay, we're getting into a tough stretch in our schedule, and Baltimore is a Super Bowl caliber team. They're ready for it, and then Mike Macdonald says, you're getting 3 points and you'll like it. And that's really all you're going to get. And, and I think that's something that the Niners look at. The Niners, they've got a Super Bowl to prepare for, but I think the Niners need to be on notice. The Rams need to be on notice. The Cardinals certainly need to be on notice. I don't know. I see good things for this team going forward. And, in the KOMO post poll, we asked, at least this week in KOMO News at 4, we asked if Hawks fans thought that the Mike Macdonald will lead them back to the playoffs. Now the Hawks were close to the playoffs last year, so I mean the bar is a little bit not when it's being raised, but it's not a complete rebuild as you mentioned before. You thinking playoffs for Mike Macdonald's first year?
I think that's impossible to say, although it's an easier ask because you had a playoff record already, right?
Right.
So yeah, I guess I would think so, but I also think that, I don't think fans can jump off if they don't, because I think he wants to implement some stuff. And I think got to give this guy some time. I think we talked about it before. One of my biggest pet peeves in the league is how quickly coaches and whatnot are cycled through. And so I think in this regard, yes, I think they will, but I'm not going to be like, the Macdonald experiment. Nope. If they don't make it, far from it. I think that this is a really special opportunity. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think that you never want to compare past eras, and I'm not going to do that now, but I think fans are going to have a lot of fun watching this defense under Mike Macdonald.
I'm excited to just hear Lumen Field just kind of like, just like the the feeling, they'll get the first sack, that first interception of the year, whoever they play against at home, and it's like, okay, we're back. And even his former players are shouting them out too. Patrick Queen, great linebacker for the Ravens, was like much deserving. Congratulations on social media today. He was very, very, very complimentary of Mike Macdonald. We'll see. I don't know. He's also a free agent, so maybe he may end up here. Who knows?
Wouldn't that be something, right?
Wouldn't that be something? He's a killer linebacker. Absolutely.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If you're going to grade the hire based on the information we have right now, which is all we have, right? We don't know. They could be 14-3. They could be 3-14. You just never know. I give this a solid A of a hire. I really would, just based on what we have, based on the personnel you already have, based on what I saw Macdonald have to say and Schneider had to say. I think I give this a solid A. Here's the thing. We talked about Dan Quinn often, and I know a lot of people, he got the Commander's job. He's obviously a good coach. I think that somebody like Quinn would have been too close of what you already had. And if you're going to move on from a great like Pete Carroll, you have to have fresh ideas. You have to have something new and different. John Schneider accomplished that, and he did so in a pretty darn exciting way. And I think that's a really cool thing. It's not easy to do, yet he somehow did it. The buzz is going to be there from now through September, and if we're lucky enough, all the way from there on through February. So
I'd love to have the same. I'd love to be talking to you this time next year, although you would probably be in, I don't know what the next Super Bowl is.
Is it New Orleans?
And maybe in New Orleans. Yeah, I think so.
Which I had fun there at the Sugar Bowl. We'll have to bring you too.
Hey, I'm on the way. I'm packing a bag right now. I'm actually I think this is the A plus. I think this is the A plus hire as well. I think maybe John Schneider found the next Dan Quinn in waiting. And congratulations to the Commanders. I'm sure he's gonna have hopefully he does well there. I'm happy that the Hawks went in this direction and not Dan Quinn, mostly because, like you said, it's kind of maybe too similar to that whole, the lead. Not saying being similar to Legion Boom is bad, but I think given the way the past couple of years have gone, I think new blood, some new energy, a new voice in the locker room. It will be great for the Seahawks going forward. I'm actually very excited for this year.
I really am. And here I'm going to open up a little bit here. It is sometimes tough for me to get excited about a season with any team because I've covered so many. And that's not to say I don't love what I do. Of course I do. It's not to say I don't get excited about being at the game, because of course I do. But when I say excited about a season, it's like, well, how is this going to be different? I've covered this before. I've done this before. There's something different now about this, right? And that's what has me excited. What is going to happen? And to me, it's all positive. Like I don't, man, you never know with a coach. And the opening press conferences are always exciting. But man, I don't know how this guy doesn't do well. And he's proven every step of his career that he does it the right way.
Well, that's the thing.
That's the thing. I don't see this guy failing.
They always say defense wins championships. And running the ball wins championships. We've got a great running back in Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. And defense wins championships. If you saw the way the Ravens played all year last year, even in that loss, I mean, it's hard to kind of be like, and everyone I've talked to online, in person, through sound bites, as we gathered today, I don't know, even the most skeptical person, I feel like, and maybe we're building him up too much at this point, which is fine. which is completely fine. I mean, it's February after all, February 1. I just the city is behind him. And he's got, he said he's in it for the long haul. Well, you're 36 years old. There's a long haul. The rest of your life.
I will be thrilled if I come out of retirement in 2060 when he's 72 and cover his press conference that he's retiring in 2060. That's my goal. That's my new career goal. That we both make it to 2060 so I can cover his retirement from Hawks. If we're still playing, we're still doing TV news and we're still doing the NFL in about 36 more years.
Hey, it's a date. You, me, and Mike.
Well, Najee, I got to say, I'm excited. You're excited. We're going to dive more in depth on this in the shows to come. This is our rapid reaction to everything that has to do with Mike Macdonald's and the Seahawks. I just think it's awesome. I think John Schneider hit a home run. This is awesome. 2 new coaches this fall with Jed Fish over at UW, and now Mike Macdonald at the Seahawks. I can't freaking wait I know it's February, but I can't wait for football season. I can't freaking wait, Najee.
I'm thrilled. I'm so excited. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Well, we'll have some fun at the office, but until next week, when we talk to our a very awesome audience, whether you're listening to audio or watching on the KOMO YouTube page, we appreciate you. Wanted to give you this rapid reaction tonight. Naj, man, we'll see you later. Right? Thank you.
All right. Thank you.